All right, welcome to week 13. We are going to be working on back bending postures today. And as we work on our back bending poses, I want you to think less of the way that the name back bending sounds, where it sounds like we're going to be bending into our back, and think less of that and more of front body opening. When we think of front body opening, okay, so stretching out to the front of the body and finding that length and opening and stretch there, we think less of bending into, especially those very flexible parts of the back or the spine. So flexible parts of the spine would be our cervical spine, our neck, okay, right? We have this bobblehead ability. And then we also have our lumbar spine, which tends to be very flexible. And when these flexible parts tend to be rather unstable. And so when we're just moving into these areas, okay, we kind of think of our spine almost like a slinky. Okay, so everybody knows what a slinky is, yes? Those little coils of things. If we were just to move little parts of the slinky around, we wouldn't get as much range of motion or movement from that. And so if we're only moving into our neck or lumbar spine, we're only getting portions of the full effect, okay? So if we add the entire spine, okay, the thoracic spine, which is where the rib cage is, okay, and then also into the sacrum, which is this portion of your pelvis, okay, or just that connects to the pelvis, this little triangular shape over here. And if we move into these more rigid areas of the spine, we tend to share the entire curve, okay, this entire motion, and create a lot more length and a lot more range of motion altogether, okay? Some people have a little bit of hesitation in coming into back bends, especially if you have any back injuries. And I'm just going to let you know that, in fact, it might be more of a myth thinking that back bends are going to be more problematic for your back. And in fact, back bends tend to help your back out even more, chances are. The reason that being is that when we move only into those flexible parts of our spine, we tend to do so in a very rounded position, right? We slouch, kind of hunched over here or text neck, right? And in that collapsed, rounded forward or flexion of the spine, that's what causes the area or the compression or the eventual, like possibly the slip disc or the herniated disc, okay? And when we move into our back bends, we actually go in the opposite direction and we create that opening from the opposite side. So it tends not to be as intense. Maybe the muscles might be a little bit weaker and we might be a little bit sore, and that's okay if we're sore in our muscles. Just letting you know that you've done some work there. And maybe you haven't done any work there in a while, and that might be the reason why you might feel that soreness. So think of this as less of back bending, more of front body opening, sharing the entire length of the curve of your spine, and seeing if you can just be mindful with how you're coming into the posture so that you can feel supported and stable, especially if you do have any type of back injury. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off on our back. So nice just to lie down, right? All right, so I actually want you to keep your knees bent. Your feet are going to be on the floor. And I want you to heel toe your feet to the outer edges of the mat. So the knees are going to separate a little bit wider than you would with your hips distance apart. With those toes, little pinky toes hanging off the edge of the mat, I want you to let the knees just sway side to side like windshield wipers. So you're going to tip over to the right and through center and then over to the left. Notice that my feet are not coming up off of the ground. I'm just rolling from the inside to the sole of the foot to the outside, depending on which foot it is. And just letting those knees tip over. And then seeing if you can establish a breathing pattern for this. Maybe it's an inhalation, go to one side, and then all the way over to the other side. Or maybe it's an inhale to go up, and exhale to tip down, and inhale up, and then exhale down. So again, just find what feels more natural for you based on the pace that you're going with your knees and what your breath feels like today. And maybe letting the head rock in the opposite direction of the knees. So the knees tip to the left, your head goes right. As the knees go right, head goes left. And the next time that your knees tip all the way over to the right, let the knees stay there. You're going to take your right foot and stack it on top of your left knee. Let the weight of the foot do the job here. So you really don't need to put too much effort into or too much weight into that right foot to go into the knee. I just want you to use the weight of your right foot to encourage the leg down. And you're going to take your left hand, you're going to go in the opposite direction, reaching long through those left fingertips. And see if you can just push your left knee forward and away, and left fingertips go in the opposite direction. Big stretch of that side body. Good, and then releasing right foot down, you're going to lift the knees up through center and then tip them over to the other side. So over to the left. And now left foot is going to stack on top of right knee. Again, just letting the weight of the leg, the foot, be heavy on that knee. And then extending out through your right arm in the opposite direction, reaching through the fingertips, maybe even looking over your right shoulder. Good, and carefully releasing left foot down. Lift the knees back up through center. Let's take the knees back in towards our body. And I want you just to hold on to the back of the thighs or the front of the shins and just rock side to side, just massaging your back now and along the spine. And noticing that where you position your knees, so if they're really tight into your body, you actually feel the stretch with the massage a little bit further up the spine. Your low back will come up off the ground or your tail will come up off the ground. And if your knees are forward, you feel it towards the lower portion of your back and spine, maybe even into the pelvis. So you get to customize where you'd like to feel this nice massage as you rock side to side again. Good. And now we're going to plant the feet on the floor and bring your feet hip distance apart. So bring your big toes together, ankles together. You're going to separate the heels. And then pivoting from the heels, you're going to open the feet apart so that they're parallel to each other. All right. And from here, I want your arms to be down by your sides. Fingertips are lengthening towards your toes. We're going to go through some pelvic tilts, and then we're going to go through some moving bridges. So let's start off imagining that the pelvis is just like the face of a clock. 6 o'clock is by the feet, 12 o'clock by the face. Inhale, tail gets heavy, low back will arch. Exhale, moving to 12 o'clock, low back presses into the ground, pubic bone reaches up. Inhale to 6 o'clock, getting that tail really heavy, and then exhale, 12. Low back presses towards the earth. Inhale to 6. And exhale, 12, just feeling that pelvis starting to freely move on its own. Good. Exhaling 12 o'clock. Inhaling 6. Exhaling 12. And inhaling 6. And last one, 12 o'clock. And going back into your neutral spine. All right, so we're going to add a little bit of that bridge lift or that moving bridge to our pelvic tilt. So let's start off with an inhale, rock the tail down into the ground. You'll feel that low back lifting up off the floor. Exhale to 12 o'clock, low back presses down. Press into your feet, roll yourself all the way up, inhaling at the top, and then exhale, rolling the spine down, one vertebra at a time. Inhale, pelvis rocks in the other direction, 6 o'clock. Exhale to 12. Once you find that 12 o'clock, push down into the feet and continue to roll yourself all the way up. Inhaling at the top, widening across your collarbones. Exhale, roll the spine all the way down. Inhale, 6 o'clock. Exhale, 12. Push down through feet, hug the inner thighs as you roll yourself up. Inhaling here. And exhale, rolling through the spine all the way down towards the ground. Inhale, 6. Exhale, 12. Press down, rolling up. Inhaling at the top. And exhale, rounding the spine all the way down. Inhale, tail gets heavy, 6 o'clock. Exhale, 12. Press down and roll yourself up. This time we're going to stay here in this bridge position. And I want you to roll your shoulders underneath you. So you're going to walk the shoulders underneath, and the shoulder blades come closer to each other. And then see if you can interlace your fingers together. And you're going to press down through the pinky side of your arms and lift your hips up higher. Good. You're going to feel a little bit more opening through the front of the body. Anchor down into your heels and then plug into the balls of the feet. So sometimes our knees want to splay out wide. I want you to see if you can anchor down through those heels, plug into the balls of the feet, keep the arches lifting as you drive your up. Woo! You might be feeling this in your quadriceps, your thighs. You might even be feeling this in your glutes. That's where I'm feeling it the most. Good. Those butt muscles helping to keep you lifted. And then releasing the arms. And then you're going to roll the spine down. So you can cascade the spine all the way down, even getting that low back to touch down. And then knees come into the chest for happy baby pose. Good. Feet are going to go out wide, soles of feet up to the sky, and then rock your baby side to side. Good. And then bending your knees fully. You're going to draw the knees together and carefully tip over to one side. Press into your hands, extend your top leg, and ease your way up to a comfortable seat. All right, so coming into your easy sitting position. And go through some nice side bending and chest opening position. All right, so with your easy seated position, one ankle in front of the other, if that feels okay for you today. Let's inhale and bring the arms all the way up. Reaching tall, interlace your fingers and flex the palms, stretching up through those arms and then squeezing both arms in towards your ears. You know that this shoulder on that right side seems to be a little bit tighter for me, so I really have to work a bit harder for that one. Good, and then exhale, circle the arms wide and down. So let's do this again. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Interlace your fingers, flex the palms up towards the sky, squeezing through those arms in towards the ears. Good, and then exhale, you're going to take your right hand down to the floor beside you. Fingertips are going to be facing away. Bend your elbow in towards your body. So tucking it in, not back. Okay, when we go back, we get this rounded forward shoulder. I want the elbow to tuck in, please. And then bringing your left arm up and over. Good. We're feeling this big stretch, that left side waist. And then pressing into your right hand, lift yourself up. We're going to just switch sides. So left palm is down, right elbow dips down. Right arm reaches up and over. You can keep your right sit bone heavy. Good. And then lifting yourself back up again. This time I want you to take your hands down and back behind you. Let the fingertips come to the floor. And you're going to point your elbows to the back of the room. So you're going to bend them a little bit and really get those hands to come a little bit closer to each other. Okay. Good. You're going to bend those elbows back. Hug the elbows in towards each other. There we go. Just like that, Tiffany. Just like that, Michelle. Good. And then puff your chest up in the opposite direction. So you're going to really feel that opening across the front of the collarbones, the chest. Good. Yes. Maybe the head rocks back if that feels okay for your neck. And then walk the hands forward over your folded legs and just rest in this seated forward fold. Seated cross forward fold. Good, then pressing into hands slowly and gently lift yourself up. You're going to change the crossing of the legs, so opposite foot in front. And inhale, we'll bring the arms up towards the sky again. This time you're going to interlace the fingers, press with the palms, reaching up. Exhale, hands come to the back of the head. Push your head into your hands as you fan your elbows back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you. Oh, yeah. Good. And then exhale, elbows wrap in towards your head. Tuck your chin in and then resist your stretch. Your head's going to push back into your hands. Head is pushing up just as much as your hands are pushing down. We're just yanking your head down. I want you to add a little bit of resistance in the neck. Good. Pressing your head back into your hands again. Elbows squeeze together, squeeze apart, shoulder blades squeeze together. Good. And then taking your right hand to the floor beside you again, you're going to reach your left arm up and over, right elbow bend. This time we're going to find big shoulder circles with this left arm. So you're going to sweep the fingertips down towards the ground. Then rotate the palm to face up as you circle the arm behind you. Good. Then pivot the palm to face down as you sweep the arm forward. Try not to think about it too much. If you're not getting it quite yet, just do what you feel feels good in that shoulder. Good. And I like to feel like I'm leading with the thumb. Pulling that thumb all the way out and around. It feels like I get a bit more extension and length in the body. Good. And the next time the arm comes by the ear, pause there. You're going to press into your right hand, lift yourself up, switch sides. Left hand comes down as the right arm reaches up and over, and then bringing that right arm forward. Good. You might feel some clicking, popping. Anybody feeling that? Yeah. Maybe it's only on one side, just recognizing it. You don't need to judge it in any way. I know that from my own personal experience of carrying my really heavy baby, who's a good 22 pounds all the time, that my shoulders feel it in different ways. So if I'm holding her as I'm trying to nurse her or feed her the bottle, or even just holding her to, encourage her to go back to sleep or soothe her for whatever reason. And the different carries will affect my shoulders too. And she just started walking last week, so yay. All right, one more circle. And bringing the arm by the ear, pressing into your hands, lifting yourself up. Exhale the hands down and back behind you. The fingertips touch down to the ground. Same idea from what we did last time. Good. Elbows squeeze down and back. And you're going to lift the chest up and away from it. Good. And I find that this really helps being up on the fingertips. It creates a little bit more extension and lift, almost like I'm putting my shoulder blades directly underneath my chest, kind of serving my heart on a platter. Good. And then folding forward over your crossed legs, reaching up to the fingertips as you bow the head down towards the ground. And your head may or may not touch. Don't worry about that. If your head is touching ground, then you can rock your head side to side, perhaps, and massage along the brow and the forehead. And if your head is hanging, just shaking it yes or no. Wonderful. And then walking your hands back in towards your body, we're going to make our way up onto all fours, going through our cat-cows. So however you need to get there, maybe rolling over those ankles or swinging the feet off to one side. If you need your towel like I do, I know that my knees have still remained a bit tender after the several falls that I had this semester. All right, so in your tabletop position, we're going to go through our cat-cows. Inhale, flip the tail and crown up, lift the heart up high, and then exhale, round the spine like a cat. Pull the navel in, tuck the chin into chest, really feel that arch of the low back. Good, and then inhale. See if you can find that idea that I was talking about before. So not just moving only into your low back for your cow pose, but see if you can also move into your thoracic spine and share that curve of the spine here. Good, exhale, round the spine into a cat shape. Tuck the chin in the chest. Inhale. Good. Find the length of the tail, the heart, the head. And then exhale, round the spine again. And finding your cat. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Inhale, back in cow. And then exhale, round the spine into cat, and then settle back into your child's pose. Hips way back on top of the heels, and the forehead comes down to the mat. And from here, walking the hands over to the right. We're going to try a little variation here. So with the hands over to the right, grab a hold of your right wrist with left hand, and then pull. You're kind of leaning into your left side, but your right arm is resisting. Good. Release the hand and walk the hands over to the left. Right hand's going to grab a hold of left wrist and forearm. You're going to pull, 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 leaning over towards the right. Let the head come down and left arm resist. Good. And walk the hands back in through center. I'm going to rise up onto all fours and back into our downward facing dog. Hips go way high. Pedal out through your feet, arching through the heels.
Good. Reaching those heels down towards the ground, maybe lifting up onto both sets of tippy toes, balls of the feet. Bend your knees, pitch your hips back. Inhale, straighten out the legs, and then exhale, heels lower down. Inhale, coming up onto tippy toe. Exhale, bending your knees. Inhale, straightening out the legs, and then exhale, the heels come down. Good. A few more times. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Up, knees bend, tail is high. Straighten out the legs, and heels come down. All right. Inhale, take your right leg to the sky behind you, down dog split. Woo. And then exhale, right foot steps forward between the thumbs. Bring it all the way there. And if it's taking its time to get there this morning, don't worry about it. All right, lower your hips down, and we're going to do some little taps with our back knee. So I just want you to keep your hips sinking down. Lightly tap your left knee to the floor, and then firm the knee straight. Tap and straighten. Tap and straighten. Tap and straighten. Good. Tap and straighten. Good. And then tap the knee back down to the ground. Bring the top of your left foot onto the floor. Keep your hips sinking down and forward. Tiffany, see if you can move your left knee a little bit further away from you, or right toes forward. There we go. So more space between that front foot and back knee. Yeah, there you go. Feel the difference there? Yeah. Right hand can stack on top of right knee. Left hand plants on the floor. Push down into right hand as you twist belly to the right. And then right hand comes back down. Walk both hands on top of right leg. Keep your hips sinking forward. So I really want that weight to be in your front foot. Interlace your fingers. Wrap the heels of the hands around that thigh. Push the knee forward as your chest goes back. Good. Hips still sinking forward. See if you can wrap the front of your left hip towards your right foot. The hips are still squared forward. Yeah. Ooh, should feel like a big stretch in that front of your left thigh, right where it attaches to the hip. These are called your hip flexors. Shoulders dropping down. Good, and then hands to the floor. You're gonna step back in a downward facing dog. It might take a while. Move the back knee and step the right foot back. Ooh. And then inhale, bring your left leg to the sky, reaching it up nice and high. Good, and then exhale, left foot steps forward, swinging it there. And you're gonna come into your front lunge here. All right, let's go through our knee taps. Tap the right knee down lightly, and then firm it straight. See if we can keep the hip movement minimal. Good. Knee bends and taps. Keep your hips down low, and then firming that right knee up and straight. Tap and straighten. Tap and straighten. Once more, tap and straighten. And it's time tapping the knee to the floor and allowing it to stay there. Top of your right foot is going to be on the floor, uncurling those toes and moving into the lunge twist. So right palm plants down, left hand on top of the knee, and then turn your belly towards the left side. And see if you can turn from above the belly button. You're moving with the rib cage wrapping around as opposed to the pelvis. That pelvis sometimes wants to really dip down. You see that difference? So you're seeing my backside right now. I want you to see less of my bottom and more of my upper back for the twist. Good. Full breath. And then left hand comes down to the ground. Keep your hips sinking forward.
You're going to rise up onto that left foot. Hands are going to prop up onto the knee. Keep your hips sinking forward again. And then bringing that top of that foot, good. Interlace your fingers. Press it, heels of the hands around that thigh. And then pushing that knee forward as you lift your chest up and back. Good. Big stretch in the hip flexor. And if we do a lot of sitting, whether you're sitting at your computer, sitting on the couch, sitting in your car, sitting at the desk, whichever you're doing sitting, these areas of our hips tend to get really short and tight. So it's really helpful for us to come into these soft back bends and can also help us. Good, last full breath here. You doing okay, Tiffany? Is it your back knee? Yeah, okay. Oh, your hamstring, okay. All right, hands to the floor, and we're gonna step back, downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward to the top edge of the mat, and you're gonna come into your standing forward fold. Feet are hips distance apart. And I want you to really just look at your feet for a moment. Make sure that your arches are not flattening down to the ground. See if you can push into all four corners of your feet, the inner heels, the outer heels, the balls of the feet, and the knuckles of the pinky toes. And as you push those down, see if you can rise up through the arches of your feet. Good. Actively working those feet strongly into the ground. Good. And then round your spine like a cat. You're going to roll yourself up. Push down through your feet. Pull up through your spine. You're using your feet to push down to slowly roll yourself up. Okay, so we're going to go through a few rounds of our classical sun salutations as we've been doing them. And then I'm going to introduce a new variation of those classical sun salutations, which incorporates a bit more of this back bending, whether we're in our upward hand salute or in our lunge, okay? Just know that those are purely an option for you. If you feel that this is just not appropriate for you for whatever reason, feel free to revert back to the classical sun salute as we've been doing it traditionally, okay? All right, so let's stand at the top of the mat, feet hips distance, toes facing forward. All right, so we're gonna do about 4 rounds of our classical, and then we're gonna do 4 rounds of the variation. All right, inhale, sweep the arms wide and high, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold in half, hinging from the hips and taking it down. Inhale, right foot steps back, lunge, hips down, chest lift, looking up. Exhaling, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward into plank. Exhale, lower down, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale to cobra, tops of feet press down, hips to the ground, heart up and forward. Exhale, bow and take it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward. Look where you want the foot to go, round the shoulders, and bring the foot all the way there. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive. So coming up with the flat back, hands reach high. And exhale to mountain pose. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale, left foot back, lunge. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower and press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, lunge. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come up. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, bring the arms up, upward hand salute. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, right foot back into lunge. Exhale, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, bow, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, lunge. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come up. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, left foot back, lunge. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, lunge. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come up. And exhale to mountain pose. All right, so now for the variation of our classical sun salutation. So this is going to incorporate, instead of doing our upward hand salute where we're vertical, we're actually going to be moving backwards a little bit. So when we're doing this one, I want you to put the weight in your toes. They're going forward, your hips go forward so that your head and heart can reach up and back, okay? Remember that we're sharing the curve of the spine. I don't want to see the tail arching up and back. So think of the tail less in that 6 o'clock position and a little bit more in a 12 o'clock if you're trying to work with that, or that neutral position, okay? 6, 12, 6, 12. No, yes, okay? All right. And then beyond the upward hand salute, when we actually come up with this one, we're going to sweep our arms forward and up to give ourselves that big uplifting sensation. And then when we come into our lunge, we're going to lower our back knee down. When we lower the back knee down, we're going to keep the back toes curled under and then find that same back arch. So the hands sweep forward, up, and back. I'm going to show you guys just those two little parts of it, and then we're going to work through it together. Does that sound okay? Thumbs up with that? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so just so you guys can see, let's see if I can move back a little bit. So, you know what, I'll move the camera just for a moment. There we go. Okay, so with the upward salute, I reach the arms forward, weight goes into the toes, my hips go forward, up and back, and then I find myself into my forward fold by bringing my hands forward. I'm going to step my knee back, foot back, the knee comes down to the mat. Just go ahead and watch for this one. The knee is down, my hips still stay forward, and then I sweep the arms forward, up and back. Okay? And then we come down and step back, downward facing dog. All right, and the same idea for when we come into our lunge on the other side for the same sequence. Okay? Questions about that before we get started? Okay. One thing is that some people get a little bit concerned with their back knee touching the ground. If you want to, you can put your towel there to give yourself a little extra cushion. But I want you to keep your back toes curled under because we're not going to be in the position very long. We're just going to be touching into it briefly. And then making sure that we keep that weight forward into that front foot and not into the back knee. So we're not kneeling, but we're lunging. Okay, so there's a difference. Kneeling, right? Like, will you marry me? Okay, or lunging. Okay, so there's not going to be as much weight on the back knee as we have it in the front foot and working the strength of our glutes. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'll go slowly on the first couple rounds and then see if we can kind of pick up the pace. You will create heat and most likely need to peel off layers. All right, you're welcome. So standing at the top edge of your mat, please. All right. You're going to inhale, reach your hands forward and all the way up. Weight goes in your toes, the hips go forward. Feel the front body lifting and lengthening up. Exhale, as you send your hips back, keep the weight in your toes. Start to fold forward, the hands coming all the way down to the mat. Inhale, right foot steps back. The knee to the mat. Keep the back toes curled under. You're going to sweep the arms forward, up and back, keeping your hips driving forward. Good. Hands and head go back. And exhale, downward facing dog. Hands to the floor and left foot goes back to meet the right. And then the rest of the sequence, as we know, inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back. Downward facing dog. All right, here's the next lunge. Inhale, right foot forward. Left knee to the mat. Arms reach forward, up and back. Good. Exhale, standing forward fold. So the hands come to the ground. Left foot comes to meet the right. There we go. And then inhale, the hands go forward, up and back. Weight forward in the toes. Exhale, you're going to fold right in half. So we're going to flow right through it. Inhale, left foot steps back. Knee to the mat. Arms sweep forward, up and back. Good. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hands to the ground. Right foot meets the left. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward. Right knee to the mat. Arms sweep forward, up and back. Exhale, hands to the floor, step forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, the hands reach forward, lift up. And then exhale, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit, fold in half. Inhale, right foot back, knee to the mat, arms sweep up and back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, left knee down, arms come up and back. Exhale, standing forward fold. Left foot meets the right. Inhale, hands forward, lifting up and back. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, left foot back, knee to the mat, arms sweep up and back. Keep your hips heavy forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, right knee to the mat. Arms go up and back. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, arms go forward, up and back. And then exhale, you're going to come up tall, squeeze from the inner thighs, float the arms forward and down, back into your mountain pose. All right, how do we do with that? Good? Questions? Unmute yourself. Comments? Did we get sweaty?
Yeah, I'm sweating. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a little hard.
It's energizing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's energizing. Yeah, it kind of like gets your heart rate up. You get nice and warm. And that's what, the sun salutations are intended to do, right? They are that ha, or that sun portion of the practice, the ha-ta. The ta is the moon, which is more soothing, nurturing, and relaxing. So grab your water if you have. Any questions on that? Did that hurt anybody?
I thought it was gonna hurt my knee, but it didn't. Like you said, you have to focus
Okay.
your weight all the way. on the other, not on your knee. So that, yeah, that helped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and not putting all that weight back, which is a tendency, right? But you have to think about it is that like the knees are not meant to wait there. The muscles are, right? So the muscles support the structure, and that's how we get that really strong bottom to help us with supporting ourselves and through our yoga practice and just through life in general. So yeah, it can be a little nerve wracking at first. You're like, oh God, that's gonna hurt really badly, especially if you're on hardwood floors or something that's not like the most forgiving. But you can always provide like extra cushion, whether it's a towel or double up on your yoga mat like I have. And looks like you've got a second mat too. Yeah, and a towel too. Nice. Tiffany, are those like just half mats or kneelers or what are those? Kneelers or cut up mats?
They're like the 3/4 inch foam mats, just like a knee pad. I just have 2.
Okay.
And one of them has little cool things too. They're only like
Nice.
$5-10 on Amazon, so I'm just
Okay. I've seen people use like when they use those gardening pads, you know, that you would use like a little, it looks the same exact shape as that, and you can get them pretty cheaply too. But it's super thick and cushiony and can provide a little extra of that support because there's really not padding there in the knees. So that's a cool resource. I like that. All right, any questions? Ready to go further? Okay, let's go ahead and come up to standing. I know you guys are seated. You're like, I'm tired. Come on, off of your bottom. All right, we still got a little bit more work to do. All right, we just barely got started, right? We just warmed up. Okay, so I want you to, there we go. All right, so I want you to inhale. Let's bring the arms all the way up, interlace your fingers. Point through the index, squeeze through your arms, and then exhale over to the right. Good, standing half moon pose. Inhale, lift yourself up, and then exhale over to the other side. Keep your arms squeezing in towards your head, especially that bottom arm. You're just gonna wanna get lazy. Good, inhale, lifting yourself up, and then exhale, take the hands down and back behind you. This is just like what we were doing when we were seated, except we're interlacing our fingers instead of propping our fingertips on the floor. So when we interlace our fingers, I want you to take your knuckles and elbows back, move your chest in the opposite direction. So hands and chest move the opposite, and then drop the knuckles down as you bring your hips forward, just like our sun salutation, and then exhale, hinge forward, knuckles reach up towards the sky, and maybe all the way towards the front edge of the room. Hands to your buttocks, slide the hands all the way down to your ankles. Inhale, lift up, flat back. And then exhale, fold in half. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come all the way up. Working right into our standing half moon pose again. And then exhale over to the right. Inhale, lifting up. And then exhale over to the left. Inhale up. Exhale, hands down and back. Change the crossing of your fingers. So opposite thumb on top. It feels weird, like somebody else's hand is back there. All right, and now take the knuckles back, elbows back, drop the knuckles towards the floor, lift the chest, open up the front of the body, and then exhale, hinge from the hips. Knuckles reach all the way up and overhead. If they're not going overhead, I just want you to play with taking the hands up off of your hips. So it might be only a few inches. You're really gonna feel that there's gonna be some movement, maybe some resistance there. And eventually you're gonna feel that there might be some more opening for you to extend all the way up. Keep the heels of the hands glued together. Hands to your buttocks, slide them down towards your ankles. You're gonna inhale to the front of your shins, lift up, flat back. Exhale, fold in half. This time I want you to walk your feet back into plank. Exhale, lower all the way down to the floor. Awesome. All right, so as you're on the floor, you may want to move any towels because You want to actually feel the ground underneath you in a different way. We're going to set ourselves up for our next pose, which is known as sphinx pose. Sphinx. So like the Sphinx in Egypt. With sphinx pose, you're going to prop your elbows underneath your shoulders, and I want you to have the upper arm to be vertical. Your humerus to be vertical, up and down, okay, and the forearm is to be out in front of you. So Tiffany, the elbows are on the floor, the hands are forward. There we go. It looks like she froze. Okay, so there we go. Very nice. Okay, so I want your arms to be parallel to each other. See if you can rotate the palms towards the ground. And we're going to play around with the legs right now. So when you came down, maybe it wasn't the best position or the most lengthened position. See if you can lift your right leg up. Good, and then lengthen out, and then lower that leg back down. You might feel that there might be some extra space in that right hip flexor. Good, left leg, same idea. Lift the leg up and reach it out, and then bring it down. All right, so now that you have both legs opening up from the hips, see if you can press down through the shoelace side of your foot and even getting the pinky toes to touch down here. Okay, so all 10 of your toenails touching down to the ground. It's a very subtle feeling, but I want you to feel like the foot is widening itself. All right, as those feet are pressing down, push down into your elbows. Lift the chest up and firm the elbows back. Good, so it's a collarbone opening through the side. You're gonna feel those shoulder blades squeezing together and pushing your heart forward. Good. So know that you can do this in a very chill position, right? You're kind of like reading your book and doodling or whatever, right? But that's very collapsing. You're not using any support from your musculature. What we're using right now is that support from our musculature. All right, bring the hands towards each other. One hand stacks on top. Elbows are going to splay out wide, forehead stacks on top of your hands. All right, same idea, coming back into your sphinx pose, and we're going to build on to our next posture from there. So the elbows are going to press down into the ground. We're firming the elbows back, and this time I want you to move your left hand to your right wrist. So your left forearm is at a diagonal. Bend your right knee and point the toes up towards the sky. Good. Make sure that that knee didn't go too far out wide. You don't want the knee to be out to the side like that. I want the thigh to be on the floor and the toes to go straight up. Good. All right. Then reach back with your right hand and see if you can grab a hold of your foot. This is where you may want to use your towel, okay? You grab your towel, wrap it around your foot, see if you can grab a hold and hold on to it there, especially if you have a hard time bringing your foot all the way in. You can also use your strap that way too. All right, so with this one, you have a couple different movements that you're going to be making with that right foot. You're going to pull the foot in towards you, and then see if you can bring your hand on top of the foot, to the top of the foot. Okay, and then point your right elbow up towards the sky. Yes, now you have a bit more leverage to push down on the foot so it goes closer towards your buttocks. Yeah, there you go. And then push down into your left elbow. We're not sinking down. And then turn your heart to face forward. So it's going towards the front edge of your mat. Yeah. This one's called one-legged frog pose. Michelle, bring your left elbow a little bit further forward so it's out from underneath you. Your left elbow, there you go. That might feel like a little bit more height. There we go, yes. So with that elbow pointing up towards the sky, you might be feeling this in your right shoulder. You might even be, most likely are feeling this in your right quadricep, your right thigh. If you squeeze your right butt cheek, you might even feel this a bit more into your hip flexor. Yeah, height. Good. So this is one-legged frog pose. There is a two-legged frog pose, but we are not doing this in this class. A little bit pretty advanced because if you're noticing right now how much support you're putting into your left elbow, imagine that you don't have that support and you're just lifting yourself up from there. Yeah, it's a lot of back strength. All right, switch the legs out. So you're going to bring your right elbow down. Forearm is going to be at diagonal. And then bending your left knee, grabbing a hold of the foot, and then seeing if you can pull the foot in towards you. And then maybe the hand goes on top of the foot to the shoelace side, elbow points up, and then you press down into the foot. So it pulls in towards your head and then down towards your buttock. Good. Keeping that right leg strong and lengthened and squeezing left butt cheek. Getting that big opening in the left thigh. And it's so tempting just to kind of soften into that right elbow and shoulder, right? To sink down into the pose. See if you can push down to lift yourself up. There we go. We're not here for too long, so just do what you can. Good, breathing. Wonderful. Slowly release the leg down. Stack the hands, one hand on top of the other, and then let the head come down on top of your hands. All right. From here, I want you to bend your knees so the toes point up towards the sky. And you're going to sway your feet side to side. So I'm going to release those hips, especially a little bit of that low back. And bringing the knees back to center, straightening out the legs. All right, we're going to come into one of my favorite twists. And we're going to bring the left arm to the right side of the room. If the left arm is going to reach all the way across, right hand comes underneath your shoulder. Then army crawl your right knee to your right wrist. Good. All right, so you're probably not going to be able to see me with this one, especially if your back is towards the camera. Michelle, take your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Your right hand, okay, this one. There we go. So you're kind of like rolled onto your left side. Yeah, just like that. All right, so we're going to come into a reclined twist. So let your head drop down. Right hand goes up towards the sky, and then take it all the way away from your left hand. And maybe towards the ground on the other side. And just close the eyes, relax the mouth and jaw. You might notice that this twist feels really good. And for me, I actually prefer this variation of the twist. Feels like it just hits the right spots compared to the one that we do on our back and then tip over to the side. Another full breath here. And right hand's going to come up and all the way around. Good. Slide your right leg back and then lower onto your belly. Taking your left hand underneath your shoulder and then right hand goes across the diagonal. We're switching sides. And then left elbow or left knee army crawls to your left wrist. And as you relax the head, reach your left arm all the way up and around. And just breathing into belly and left lung. If you turn that left palm to face up and really start to rotate the pinky finger towards the sky of that left arm. And you might feel a little bit deeper opening into that left pec, the front of the left shoulder and chest. Another full breath. And then slowly bring left hand back up towards the sky, all the way around. Left leg slides back. And then bringing both hands underneath your shoulders so you can push back into child's pose. Hips sink back on top of heels and forehead comes to the mat. Good, and rise up onto all fours. Walk your knees forward to your wrists and cross one ankle or shin over the other and see if you can sit back behind your feet. All right, let's go through some forward folds and some twists. All right, let's take your left leg forward, bring your right foot along the inside of the leg, head to knee pose. So it looks kind of like our tree pose seated, called head to knee, Janu Shasana. Left toes turn facing up. Inhale, bring the arms up towards the sky. And then exhale as you fold forward, bringing those hands down wherever they fall. Maybe it's along the leg, onto the foot. For me today, I like kind of working into the ground. So using my right hand to push forward as left hand pulls back. I feel that the outer left hip kind of tugs back into that left hip socket. Good. If you're noticing that there's a lot of space between your belly and your thigh here, I'd like for you to bend your left knee. Okay, bring your belly onto your thigh, and then start to work with pressing your heel forward. Yeah, that's nice. Nice, Michelle. There we go. That's nice. And feeling how you can lengthen through the back of the leg that way. So now you're feeling both the hamstring and the low back stretch. Good. And allowing your head to relax down as you breathe softly. And just breathing into low back. And breathe into mid back. And take that breath all the way back up to the back of your head and neck. Good. And pressing into your hands, lifting yourself up gently. Scoop the hands underneath your right knee. You're going to cross your foot over to the outside of your left leg. Sit up tall, making sure right sit bone is on the ground. So that's the firm part of your buttock. Okay, and then I want you to squeeze the knee in towards the center of your chest as you sit up even taller. Okay, so this might just be a hip stretch for you as we start off. Maybe you're just feeling yourself trying to find that alignment here. And then take your left arm up towards the sky. And then exhale, the arm comes to the outside of right leg, right fingertips behind you as you start to twist towards your right leg. Good. And a little quiz time, a mini quiz. Think about this one. The name of this pose is, I'll give you 5 seconds just to think of it on your own, and then I'll tell you the answer in just a moment. Half Lord of the Fishes pose. Do we get it? Yeah? No? It doesn't matter. Half Lord of the Fishes pose? Yeah, there we go. So you will need to know that for your final exam, but for right now you know, just kind of remind yourself as we're going through these poses, really keep your attention still focused on the names of the poses as I'm calling them out. And you can start your preparation for your final exam. I'll be posting a little study guide for you. It's kind of less of a study guide, but more of how to study for it. Okay. All right, inhale back to center, and then take your right leg forward, bend your left knee, and come into head to knee pose on this other side. So left knee is bent, okay, and the knee comes down, foot is to the inside of the leg, and keep your belly button turned towards your right leg. So we're not turning towards the center of the leg, but turning towards that outstretched leg. Again, if you find that you need to bend that knee, go for it. Otherwise, you can reach your arms up, and then exhale, bringing your belly onto your thigh, and then bringing your head down. So Tiffany, this is a good way to bend your knee to protect that hamstring. And see if that helps a little bit. And keeping it in that belly of the muscle there. Good. I'm just breathing into your low back, mid back, and your neck. Good. And then slowly pressing into hands, lifting yourself up. Scoop the left hand underneath the knee, and you're going to cross the foot to the outside of right leg. Wrap the hands around that knee, and then squeeze it in towards the center of your chest as you lift up taller. Good. Shoulders drop down and away from your ears. Feel like your elbows are pressing towards the floor. Yeah. And then going into the twist when you're ready, right arm goes up. Exhale, the arm to the outside of left knee and turning the belly towards the left wall. Remembering that we don't have too much weight in that backhand. We're not trying to lean back. We're pushing our spine up taller. Good. Half Lord of the Fishes pose. Half Lord of the Fishes. In Sanskrit is Ardha Matsyendrasana. Another full breath here. And rotating your chest back in through center. We're going to send both legs out in front of us. Slide your hips forward towards your heels. Scoop the hands to the back of your thighs. And so you should be pretty close to the front edge of the mat and have plenty of space behind you. Round your spine and roll back. Good. Try to keep your feet on the floor. And then rock forward again. This time you're going to round back. Take your right hand off. Good. Right hand comes back on and roll yourself back up. Round back again. Left hand comes off. Left hand on, roll forward. Okay. Next one, you know what's coming next. Look, Mom, no hands. Round back. No hands. Ah! Good. And now see if you can lower down about an inch. Another inch. Another. Woo! Another. Another. Oh, and timber. She goes down. Or he goes down. All right. Bring your right knee into your chest. Extend your left leg forward. Wind releasing pose. And left knee tucks in, right leg extends out. And then reaching your left leg forward, opening up through those hips, extending out through the heels and allowing those toes to turn out wide to the sides. Arms come down by your side. Grabbing a towel and placing it over your eyes, or just simply closing your eyes and resting in your final resting corpse. And relaxing the jaw. Give the weight of your head, your shoulders, your hips, your feet into the ground. Allow the breath to flow naturally. And the tip of the tongue resting on the roof of the mouth where the teeth and the hard palate meet. The reading for today is titled The Gift of Prayer. And there's a quote by Gandhi that says, "Prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul. It is daily admission of one's weakness. And so it is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart." This great spiritual teacher reminds us that prayer of the deepest kind is more of a pledge of gratitude for what has already been received than a request or plea for something not yet experienced. Such an effort refreshes the soul. Implicit in Gandhi's instruction is the need to surrender to our lives here on earth. By admitting our weaknesses, we lay down all the masks we show the world, and as we do so, what is holy floods in. I once saw a blind man rocking endlessly in the sun, an unstoppable smile on his face. Not a word was uttered. To me, he was a priest, a shaman, and his whole being was praying and shouting in silence that the day, beyond his blindness, was happily enough. This is what the heart knows beyond all words. If we can find a way to listen, that beyond our small sense of things, a magnificent light surrounds us, more than anyone could ask for. This is what prayer as gratitude can open us to. So as you lie here breathing, your eyes closed, please cease all asking. Simply breathe with gratitude for the air. Relax and feel your frailties and imperfections, and let the simple air fill them. Breathe deeply and slowly, and from your tender and perfect inside. Ask for nothing and give nothing. Just feel without words for your soul's place in the fabric of things. And very slowly start to fill the belly, chest, and low throat, and exhale out the throat, chest, and belly. And start to wiggle your fingers and toes, make circles with wrists and ankles. Rock the head side to side. And then give yourself a big stretch. Arms reach up and overhead. Good. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Wrap the arms around. And just rock side to side a little bit. And carefully tipping over onto one side. And press hands into the floor. Extend top leg. Ease your way up to a comfortable seat. I know with the end of the semester quickly approaching, our lives and minds tend to get crowded with additional stressors. I'd like for you right now just to focus on one thing that you're grateful for. And bring your hands together at heart center. Bow your head softly forward. Feel free to unmute yourself. I thank you for allowing me to share this practice with you, for allowing me to guide you on your journey this semester. And the light within me bows to the light within you. Namaste.
Namaste, Professor. Thank you so
Namaste.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Namaste.
Bye.